Hi there. Okay, most people will say, oh, that's a nice photograph. Well, it's not a photograph. It's a digital painting, and it's based on a photograph, but it's not a manipulated photograph like most people think it is. It's actually made up of many, many layers, and I'll try and explain how it is done. So first of all, I'll just show you the sort of toolbox I've got. First of all, there's this stylus that I'm using here. This is a pressure sensitive stylus. It doesn't actually draw anything. You can see that it hasn't got any ink or anything on it. It's electronic, and it works on this digital tablet down here, which is where I actually draw. But if you look up on the screen, you'll actually see that's where the cursor is. So painting is not allowed, it says anyway. But if I paint, that's where it happens. So I have to look at the screen, even though I'm not actually, my hand isn't on it. But that's all right. I got used to doing that. So so here's the palette. You get the different colours by moving that thing around. You see the colours in the triangle change, so whatever colour you got in the triangle, and if I move that around, I can also change the colour. And whatever colour is in that circle there is what you actually get on the brush. You can see it changing as I move those things around. So you've got a lot of variety as to what you can do. You can see all these sliders moving around. You can mix colours up if you want to, but I tend to mix on the painting. These are the various brushes. As you can see, there's all sorts of stuff you can use, the vast majority of which I don't. I hardly ever touch anything other than erasers or airbrushes. There's a couple in here called artists that I use. I use that one called Impressionist, which is a nice nice brush. I'll see if I can give you a little bit of a demonstration of how that works. If I go up here, I shall just I'll pick up some green with an eyedropper. There we go. And you see that over here, whatever colour I'm moving around on the screen, it will pick it up. So let's just pick up a bit of green, and I'll show you how I make grass. There we are, we've got the green there in the circle. And we go back to the painting, and if you notice, I'll just go and pick up the brush over here, like that. Now obviously if you pick up a darker colour and put it on top of that, you can sort of build up something that looks a bit like grass. And if you want to turn it off, you just go to the eraser and basically turn it off. Hang on a minute, I've got to swap hands. All gone. So if you make a mistake, it's really easy to fix. So that's how you actually do the painting of it. So now what I'll do is I'll turn the painting itself off, and I'll show you the reference material. Okay, so there's the painting gone. Now, Maisie wasn't there, as you can see, because it was a hot day and it would have been difficult to have her there, and keeping a dog still is very difficult. So I was just there with Renee, and I got her to make a number of different poses where it looked like she was about to kiss Maisie on the nose. You'll notice that the background is, you can see all this detail in it, which I really didn't want, so that was going to be taken out. But we also needed a reference picture of Maisie, or quite a few reference pictures of her. So this is where we got, well, this is the one I used. There were a number of them. You'll see here that Renee's pose is a bit different. Her arms are different. Her expression is different. She's got glasses on, and her legs are in the wrong position, but that didn't matter because she sent me a number of photographs which were closer to this other reference photograph, that one there. And what we ended up with when I combined the two was that. As you can see, if I go back here, you'll see that this group reference has got a number of layers in it. And if I pull back and I turn the various ones off in there, you'll see how it's sort of made up. Because it's not, I didn't use just one photograph, and I'll tell you the reasons why. In the original photograph, reference photograph, as you see, as I think I showed you before, her leg was under her arm. I mean, this looks a bit funny because her foot's missing and her hands are a bit strange there. But I could easily change that. I just got another leg from another photograph that she'd provided with me and put it over the top. Her arms needed to be raised up, so I did that. And you'll even notice that I moved her thumb so that it's in front of Maisie's ear. So that's the original, that's the final reference photograph that we used, that I used to actually create the painting. As reference only. It wasn't, that's all the manipulation I did on the photograph is what I've just shown you. So if I close that down and bring the painting up, I can show you the various components of it. Now, people don't really understand how you actually paint on a computer. Well, the way I do, I don't know if everybody does, but the way I do it is that I build it up in a number of layers. And if I go over here, you'll see, where are we? There we go. Yes, you'll see that there are a whole bunch of layers, and the reference is at the bottom underneath. So that's turned off so you can't see it. Now, the bottom one is the background. If I turn that off, you'll see the background disappear. Now, the background is the first thing I paint, obviously, because it's the furthest thing away. Everything else gets stacked up on top of it. It's a bit like a sandwich. You know, you start off with a piece of bread, then you put butter on the bread, and then you put some lettuce in, then you put some tomato, and then you put a bit of salami or whatever, and then you keep building up until you've got all the contents you want, and then you stick another bit of bread on top, and voila, you have your sandwich. So it's the same thing. Now, just to give you an example, if you look at this little bumblebee on the back of her hat there, if I go over here, you'll see this is the bumblebee group. If I open that up, you'll see there are 3 layers in there. Layer 8, layer 7, they should actually say wing 1 and wing 2, but I forgot to do it. So if I turn off layer 8, you'll see the wing disappears, layer 7, and then the other one is the bee itself. So you can see that's, the bumblebee is made up of 3 layers. Now, Renee's hat is made up of 1, 2, 3 layers as well. So again, if I turn off the hat band layer, the band disappears. If I turn off the detail layer, that layer disappears, and then the hat disappears altogether. So it's much easier to paint in layers because you can alter color, intensity, darkness, lightness of an individual layer rather than changing the properties of the whole thing. If you only want to change one part of it, then you only change it on that layer, like the hat band. If I wanted to change the color of the hat band and turn it, I can turn it, I'll show you what I can do here. Tonal control, adjust colors. If you watch the hat band, it changes color depending on what colour I want. Hang on. There we are. Turn it pink if I want to, but reset, so goes back to the normal colour. So yes, that gives you a lot more flexibility than if you were working with paint. If you were working with paint and you painted it blue and then you decided you wanted to have it pink, it would be rather difficult and time consuming to paint the whole thing again, whereas how long did that take me? A couple of seconds. So that's what you can do with layers. Now, okay, so we'll carry on. I'll turn the hat off. Now, if I turn off Renee's head, you'll see that that was just a layer on its own. I just had to paint that, and again I could change all the properties on that. I could make it lighter or darker without affecting anything else on the painting. So I'll just go down the stack and I'll pull out so you can see what I'm doing over here. Here's all the various components. If I turn them out, you'll see they all disappear on the painting. There goes the grass over her dress. There goes some more grass. There goes the dress itself. There goes the grass over her foot. There, where are we? There goes her leg. There goes Maisie's ear. Renee's arm. Grass over Maisie, and if you look, there's even shadows over Maisie's flank there, grass shadows, which again were on another layer, so I turn those off. There goes Maisie all together. There goes Renee's right arm. There goes the other underneath of her dress. There goes her right leg. And that leaves the background, which is what we started off with. Oh, not forgetting the bumblebee right up the top. We'll turn that off as well. So there you go. So if you want to see the whole thing, there you go. There's the whole painting. So that's basically how it's done. This particular painting now, once I'd finished it, had 22 layers, but it probably had twice as many as that when I was working on it, because if I left everything in layers, this stack would be so ridiculously long it would take me ages to find anything. So I just collapsed sections down, like once her face was done, which possibly started out with a few layers, I would have collapsed that, so it's just the one layer there. So that's really it. And then when it goes to be printed, I would collapse the whole thing down to one layer, so it would just become one layer. But I always keep the file with all the layers in it, just in case I want to come back at some later point and make any changes or make any additions. You know, sometimes you see something that you would like to change. If it was done with painting, with paint, it might be quite difficult to do, but with this it's very easy. So there you go. That is digital painting, and it's quite, it's very satisfying to do because it allows me much more freedom than I ever get with paint. So I hope you like it, and I shall show you more as I do them. Bye for now.